Welcome back to WD Magic Cast for the week of June 2nd, 2024. This is episode 259. WD Magic Cast, the show about the mouse, the marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Graken. In this week's show, Dave Gallman and I sit down and discuss some of the latest happenings, new things to come to Walt Disney World in Florida versus the other Walt Disney Worlds. We're going to be talking Moana, we're going to be talking drones, and we're going to be talking Tiana. That just leaves for a very interesting conversation right there. Make sure to join the conversation on our social medias, where we can be found just about everywhere at WD Magiccast on Threads, Twitter, X, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Yeah, we're still hanging out on TikTok somewhere. All over the place. Check us out there. And like I said, join the conversation at WD Magiccast. Also, check out our shop on TeePublic, where you can get yourself some cool WD Magiccast stuff, tank top shirts, hoodies, whatever you like, coffee mugs, tote bags for the beach, all available there, all at a great price, all really good merchandise, and you get something and help out your favorite podcast while you're at it. And on that bombshell, on with the show. So the parks are always changing. The parks are always adding things or changing things, evolving things. As Walt always said, and we've mentioned many times, and you hear it constantly up the wazoo. Walt never intended the parks to be a museum. He doesn't want static. He doesn't want things built and just left as it is. He wants it to evolve and grow and change with the times and with, what's needed and what's going on with the company and what's going on in the world and things like that. So Disney Imagineers, to the best of their abilities, try to do such things. And in doing so, they've recently done a fair amount of stuff. You've had all the changes at Epcot, and we'll be discussing one of those changes. That is a walkthrough attraction that has been added to Epcot. It's not a retheming of another attraction. It is a brand new attraction where no attraction stood before. And then we're talking to something that's been added to Disney Springs that it's there for a limited time, but if it's popular enough, I can see this sticking around for some time. This is not their first attempt at such a thing, but they've done it again. And then a retheming of a popular ride to a more current IP. And they just released a ride-through video that we haven't unfortunately experienced any of this stuff ourselves except through YouTube. And speaking of someone that is better experienced through YouTube than in person, Dave Galvin, how are you doing?
I am doing well, Matthew. How are you? And thank you for having me on the show again.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Doing well. Doing well. Keeping busy.
Mm-hmm.
By the time this episode is dropped, they will have dropped their episode. I was on this week's episode of Married to a Disney Addict, where we discussed the unfortunate passing of Richard M. Sherman. Well, I definitely want to take a moment to recognize the loss of such a not just a Disney legend, but someone who was so pinnacle and so involved in music that you probably don't even realize half the times that you're listening to a Richard and Bob Sherman song. Disney, non-Disney, they did a lot of stuff outside of Disney. They have, I think, well north of 200 songs to their
Wow.
writing credit. They even did country music and rock and roll music before even joining Disney in 1961. So amazing people. They wrote your wife's favorite Disney song, "It's a Small World."
Oh boy. Yes, she's very, very, very fond of that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately he passed away, but at the ripe old age of it was 92, 93.
Wow,
Yeah,
lived a full life. Yeah.
yeah, he lived a very good full life. And his works and legacies will definitely live on and carry his memories with us, and they'll never truly be forgotten. And thank you for everything that you did, Richard, and your brother, and much happiness and smiles and earworms and tunes that have um, filled our lives. So, and speaking of earworms and stuff, let's jump into Moana, shall we?
Moana, yes. So they finally took down all the barriers that were surrounding the middle section of Epcot. So now we get to finally see what it's all about. But from what I've seen from the YouTube video, it looks sharp. It also looks like it's something that you must do at night. Like you
From
can go
my
through
understanding, you want to do it during the day and you want to do it at night because it's, even though the physical attraction is the same and everything you do is the same, but how things look and what you see changes
big time at night. Because the clip I saw was at night, and just the blues of the water when all the water's like sprinkling over your head or water fountains are shooting up. I don't know how they did it, but it looks like the light is just following the stream of all the water drops and stuff like that. So it looks really sharp. And then you also have the the Epcot sphere there in the horizon, while you're doing the walkthrough. So, would during the day, if you're going in August, you can get, go through it, get sprinkled on to get it cool off, and then come back at night and watch it when it's all lit up.
Yeah, during the day, from my understanding, there's a lot of hidden artwork within the rocks.
Okay.
So you have a lot of the Moana characters sculpted into there, and it's my understanding it's probably easier to see those during the day.
Yeah.
Because we all seen the giant Tafiti. We see the big sculpture of her looming there, but there's also Maui, Hey, Moana, the Hook. I forget the other characters. But yeah, you have all of them kind of grandmother. They're all sculpted into the rock work in random places. So it's kind of like a little scavenger hunt within the activities to do. And that's probably easier during the day because you have more daylight to be able to try and pick these things out.
Yeah, that was the only thing. Like I saw it was broken. It's probably like broken down in like 9 sections or something like that: rain, stream, wetland, and so on and so forth. But as I was going, watching it, going through the walkthrough, I didn't see, because obviously, you saw the Tafiti. But I'm like, all right, so where's like a Moana statue? Where's a Maui statue? You don't see that stuff. But now I wasn't aware that they chiseled them into the rock formations around there. So that's it's like a find and seek kind of deal.
Right. Really, that's what it is. So you have you have the interactive part with the water, but there's a lot more going on through that attraction. Mostly it's about the interactive part of the water, but let's add in some more stuff just for the fans and just to give it more redoability.
Yeah.
You didn't see this last time. I go back and check it out again. Oh, I didn't see it during the night. That's oh, I did during the day. Let me go back and see it then, because the lighting package, like you said, is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to the Christmas tree walk. Even though you might have done the Christmas tree walk one time, if you go back, you're going to want to do it again because it's awesome. So that's what I compare this to. It's probably about depending on how fast you walk through it. I'm assuming it's going to be about between a 15 to 20 minute walk.
Yeah.
They got a little splash pad at the end, I think, for the kids that can jump around in and stuff. And then, I can see this being every time you go to Epcot, you have to walk through it.
Yeah, and there's what they did, I think, was kind of smart. Was they mentioned, okay, if you go this way, you may get splashed, you may get wet. You're not going to get drenched anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
You're not going on that Cali River rapid rides and you're going to get soaked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you are, you make it splash, you make it a little wet. But if you go this path, you're not going to get wet.
Yeah, they got the dry lane and the wet lane or something like
Yeah,
that.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So that I think was very smart on their behalf of doing that. You have the Moana meet and greet at the end of it as well, which is undercover. And then you have a lot of interactive in just learning about water, which kind of brings back to Epcot. What Epcot really is supposed to be is the learning park, and they've kind of gotten away from that, with just more just basic attractions, and not basic attractions, but more just like thrill rides and more just focused on the ride than any part of educational part. Sorry, Guardians, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
But beyond that, yeah, you're learning about the water cycle and how everything moves along and goes, and then you get to interact, and they kind of instruct you on what you have to do. You raise your hands and the waters come rising up, and you lower your hands and the waters go down. And if you get more people involved in that, the more people raise their hands, the more water comes up, and the effects differ. So there's manipulation within the effect itself.
Mm.
And playing the music with the water and stuff like that. So very creative.
Yeah. Welcome addition, I think. I mean, obviously we haven't gone through it yet, but from what it looks like on the outside, it looks like a welcome addition to the park.
Well, yes, and I've mostly heard of just really positive things about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. You kind of wonder, when you read about something like this, oh, it's going to be a walkthrough attraction that's going to teach you about the water cycle, and you go, yeah, I'll go this way.
Yeah. Now, is this one of those, do you need, what do you call it, the genie for this or anything? Do you have to schedule time for this, or can you just, I didn't do that part of the research, or can you just walk by and go right on in?
Initially, you need the genie because the lines were super long because it's a brand new thing and people wanted to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, the lines have died down. For the most part, I guess you could use a genie on it if you really want to, but for the most part, you can walk on with minimum weight.
Minimum weight. Okay.
So you don't have to burn a genie plus on it.
Yeah, because that in a way could affect, obviously you want it at night, but you can, if you have to do the genie thing and it tells you what time you got to be there, you got to, whether it's night or day, you got to go. So, yeah. But if it's, go when you want, then you can schedule it accordingly of when you would prefer to see it. So, or see it both times.
Yeah, it's I would say do it both times because, like I said, the attraction itself is the same, but what you get to see visually is different. The nighttime is beautiful, and the daytime, like I said, you see stuff that you wouldn't see at night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something I look forward to checking out. I definitely look forward to checking out.
Yes, me too.
So next up, anything else you want to say about Moana before we move on?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I'm ready. I want to dive into this one because I just saw the video before recording. This looks.
You just
phenomenal.
like playing with drones.
Yeah.
Brick Brothers always watching you. The government's all over the place. Drones are going to be taking over. You're just afraid they're going to be taking your job next.
Yeah, right. They may. Who knows? But I'm surprised this hasn't been implemented like sooner because this looked phenomenal.
Well, they did have a few years ago. They did have a Christmas show at Disney. Excuse me, at Disney Springs.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot more rudimentary than this one, and so they did have that. And then they stopped that and been working on things since then. This is definitely an updated version.
Mm-hmm.
The I hate to blame it on the lawyers, but I'm going to blame it on the lawyers
Okay.
about not allowing them to do a lot of stuff with the drones. And primarily their fear, and kind of rightfully so, because these aren't exact, the little toy ones that you could get at, oh geez, I was going to say Toys R Us, Walmart or Target or one of those off Amazon. These are the big, massive commercial ones. If one of them fail and drops
Hmm.
into a public walkway and lands on somebody, what are the results going to be?
Yeah, massive lawsuit. But isn't this over the water though?
This one's over the water.
Mhm.
Now, but that's what I'm saying. The like they can't put this into the Magic Kingdom per se because you would essentially do it around the castle,
Right.
and there's no indirect walkway for there's not a way for them to uh have the drone safety fly over, do their show, and fly out without crossing over public areas.
Yeah.
Epcot, you almost have that, and they have looked into that. Uh, you do have some areas you could, but you still have to block off a walkway
Hmm.
for the time period that the drones fly out and fly back.
Yeah.
So again, that becomes a little tricky. And at the studios, unless if you were to do it in Phantasmic, which could work. Outside of that, you can't have it fly over the theater because again, there's people walking there. Now, could you launch them straight from behind the theater, just go straight up, do their bit, and come down? That might be a possibility, but there's a lot involved in that as well. So yeah, that's the tricky part about it.
Yeah. And of
But
course, we're talking about the new Disney Dreams That Soars at
yes,
Disney Springs. It's a limited time, like you said. I think from what I saw, it was running from May 24th through September 2nd. It's a 10-minute show, and I guess they have two different show times. I got 9 p.m. and 10:45.
yes, yeah, they're
So,
running at the two times because at that point it'll be getting darker and dark
mhm.
over the summer. And I forget where they said that the prime viewing location is over towards it's over by Cirque, I believe.
Mm.
Um, don't quote me on that,
Yeah.
but there's a prime location. You can Genie Plus it for the initial shows. There is going to be a queue opening up at 8 a.m. to
Mm.
wait for the 8 p.m. show, so you can
Wow.
stand there in June, July in the nice cool Florida sun with
Yeah.
zero humidity.
Uh,
I'm being facetious, of course. You're going to be out in the sun and it's going to be hot and humid. Waiting for this show at night. From what I've also heard, though, if you're staying at Saratoga Springs, there's a patch of area that overlooks the lagoon at Disney Springs that you'll be able to see it there.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you because from the video I saw, it looked like there was hotels in the background. So anybody who was staying in there probably got a bird's eye view of that thing.
Yeah, you essentially could see it all around, but the main area that's designed for,
Mhm.
I believe, is on the west side. Um, it's launched from behind Cirque du Soleil. There's a pad there that they have set up for the drones to launch from, crossover because it's all just greenery there, and enter the water. And like I said, it's over the water because if one of these things decides to just quit, it just drops straight down into the
Mhm.
water. Everyone's fine. They just fish it out later.
Right.
Uh, so, but it is quite. It's not very long. I think it's about 10 minutes,
Yeah, about 10 minutes. Hmm.
but it's quite beautiful. There's a nice soundtrack that goes along with it, narration, and it's not just a static 2D image,
Hmm.
which I thought was really cool. It is a three-dimensional image of a bunch of characters that's moving.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
they
like,
run the gamut. Basically, almost all of your favorite characters make a cameo in this thing.
yeah, Tinkerbell, excuse me, Tinkerbell comes flying out. You got Buzz Lightyear. You got Baymax. You have
Peter
Up,
Pan,
Peter
Dumbo,
Pan. Uh,
Wally.
oh yeah, Wally and Eve. That one's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's really nicely done.
yeah. I think Mary Poppins was in there. Cinderella. I thought I saw Cinderella in there.
Guardians of
Mando,
the Galaxy,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
which that one's really cool because
Yeah.
it's not where the other ones. The drones take the shape of the characters, and so you have a 3D light out, shape of like Buzz Lightyear moving, and his arms are extending and flying along. Guardians of the Galaxy is done in contrast, so you're looking at a wall of light and a silhouette
Of each
of the
character.
characters dancing
Yeah.
and moving.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. You hear what's his I can't remember the blue guy. He's like, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, and you just see him.
Oh
like,
yeah, Yonder.
Yeah. I thought that was cool. That was like the segment where it went from Star Wars. Where I got the chills was
the Star Wars one was really cool. That's right.
You hear old school Obi-Wan. That's no space station.
Space
Yeah, and then boom, it pops up the Death Star. So I was like, total chills. They show that getting attacked and blow up, and then it turns.
And you got the laser lights coming out and the explosion. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it turns to Baymax, who is my like sleeper favorite Disney character. I love Baymax.
Oh, Baymax is fantastic.
Yeah, and then it turns in. That went into the Guardians, and then you get to see all that stuff. So there was that like 2-3 minute segment that I was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah, it starts off enjoyable and then it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
And it's like the video I watched was 2:00 in the morning cast member preview.
Wow.
But it was really enjoyable. It was nicely done. It doesn't cost you anything to view this. You just go to Disney Springs, which you're gonna be down there catching dinner, eating something. Then there's this beautiful, beautiful show that happens over the water, and it's, I hate to use the term, but it's kind of redundant, but it's the truth that it's magical.
Yeah. No, it is. Because you're not in a park, per se, where you would expect something like that. You know what I mean? But it gives you that Disney park feeling in a shopping area. Because that's basically what you said. That's what Disney Springs is. You go there, you're shopping, you're spending money, you're eating dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, Disney magic happens above your
It's a giant outdoor open air mall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a welcome to, hey, and if their attendance was down, which I doubt it because it's Disney Springs, I know the mistake they probably made was opening it up during the holiday weekend because I know they were having problems with the crowds to go there or whatever. But, this will bring more bodies to Disney Springs to watch that, I feel, because it would definitely get me there, especially around that time when that thing's going to happen.
Right. If friend of the podcast, Gideon Cookies, Gideon's Bakehouse wasn't enough reason to go to Disney Springs.
Yeah.
Or also friend of the podcast, Everybody's Donuts and so I can't remember the not chicken guy. The Southern Fried Home Cooking.
Oh yeah. I know.
Homecoming.
Homecoming.
Art Smith's Homecoming. Thank you.
Yes.
If those weren't enough reasons to go there, and Boathouse, from what I hear.
Boathouse.
Here's just one more. Reason to go there and stay at night. The atmosphere to Disney Springs is, during the day is one thing. During at night, it is as crowded and the hustle and bustle as everything is. I actually find it kind of relaxing because you have the street performers, you have the music, you have just the lighting and just the atmosphere. It's just so much more laid back.
Yeah. Disney Springs, like, that's a place. Yes, you go down there to get to the parks, but I feel Springs is a must go because it is a break from that. from the hustle bustle of the parks and waiting in lines for rides and stuff. It's a night walk at your own leisure, do whatever you want, shop where you want. It's a must for me anyway.
Yeah, same with me. I always enjoy going there. It's nice to go there first thing in the morning, kind of walk around as things are still waking up per se, and just kind of nicely just strolling through, and then also just to come back at night. And then, like I said, the atmosphere at night is very different, and it's also still kind of relaxed. You have the different types of music playing. You are in one corner and you hear one type of music, and you round the corner elsewhere and you hear a different type of music, and it's just you can just sit and relax and take in the music and just take in the atmosphere, everything going on. Just grab yourself a cold beverage of some sort or some food and just walk around and just you don't even have to necessarily spend money. You could just walk around and be entertained and just take in just the sights.
Mm-hmm.
The sights, the sounds, the smells. I mean, you probably will end up spending money, but
more yes.
I'm just saying you don't have to.
You're
not required to. It's not like going to the parks where you have to buy a ticket.
Right. But if you're bringing kids along with you, you're going to spend money.
Bring kids along if you're one of those people that, is a shopaholic, or you happen to be with someone who is a shopaholic, then, yes, you're going to end up spending money. But
so, yeah, overall, it looks like an awesome show. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get out there this year to see it, but hopefully it is a smashing hit and they bring it back. Now, I don't know. What do you think? Would they do it all year round if they brought it back? Would they keep it as a limited time? Because I'm assuming it's going to take money and time, maintenance these things to keep it running. So they probably need the downtime at certain areas to make sure they keep the upkeep on them.
Of course, any technology, you requires some sort of maintenance and upkeep, and these things have a shelf life of we don't know how long, but it is. I can see them doing it. If this works out, I can see switching to a seasonal thing. So, okay, we got the summer version, we got the Halloween version, we got the Christmas version. So you get different variations that way. And those still remain popular enough, then you kind of roll out something that's going to be all year round. That's kind of my guess for its plan in the future, because you obviously, just like everything else, there's going to be some downtimes, and it's going to be okay. Do you run it 7 days a week? Do you run it 5 days a week?
Yeah, Monday through Friday or something.
What days do we do it? Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
whatever their peak days are.
Whatever you find is going to be the best. Or you do it on the slower days to try and get more people in, for more reason to come in. It's. I'm sure there's a plan. I'm sure there's been a discussion. It's never going to be okay. This is just going to be a one and done, and that's it. We're investing in this just for that reason. Is it to expand and keep bringing something like this to Disney Springs, or is this the testing grounds for something bigger that's going to be coming somewhere else?
Yeah, we have to wait and see on that, but I would love, because I would like it to be like you were saying, seasonal around the year, because if you don't like going during the summertime because it's too hot, okay, I'll pass. I'll get to it a fall show when it's nice and cooler, But because if it stays at this limited time during the summer months, you either have to suck it up and deal with it, or not see it at all and just stick to YouTube.
As so many things, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad I was at least able to see through YouTube. I wish I could see it in person because, from my understanding, it's just so much better in person. But
Right.
I can't get down there all the time, unfortunately.
No.
So, I mean, if someone wants to sponsor us and send us down there, by all means, we will not argue. But until that point,
yeah.
So that is kind of where we're at with that. And speaking of experiencing things on YouTube, was there anything else on Disney's Dreams That Soar that you'd want to bring up?
No, I think we covered that pretty well. I'm looking forward to diving into the Tiana's Bayou Adventure, even though it hasn't opened yet. They released footage of the full ride, and I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes, I have a couple times. Yes.
What was what's your initial reaction to what we saw?
The music's fun. The music's a lot of fun and enjoyable. It's bright. It's whimsical. The animatronics look spectacular. You're taking one of the last hand-drawn 2D movies and making 3D animatronics out of it. I think they transitioned well in that aspect. Like I said, it's bright, it's vibrant. The music is fantastic. I'd have to experience it in person.
Yes, right. You know what it looked like to me? It looked similar to the Frozen ride. You know what I'm saying? Because you're kind of on that. In Frozen. You're on the ship, you're on the boat, whatever. Yeah. You're going through. You see the similar animatronics and stuff like that, and then it kind of reminded me of that in a way. And it just seemed like so every time the thing would splash down, because he dropped like 2 or 3 times, it just seemed like it brought you to a new area, a new section, and but like you said, it's bright, it looks good, and at the final splash, I didn't realize because I didn't ride Splash Mountain that many times, but I caught it because this video that I saw was at night. When the final splash, you could see the castle all lit up in the background, so you're kind of like dropping in the direction of the castle, which I thought was kind of cool.
You're not the only one to have noticed that. My wife, who's ridden Splash Mountain many times, you can see the castle.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
I had no clue.
I'll give you a pass. She doesn't have an excuse.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, it's I do want to ride it. I do want to check it out in person. I'm not going to be, it's not Splash Mountain anymore, and therefore I shall never, because it will never end.
Yeah.
I'm not like that.
Well, speaking of that, like a lot of the video I saw, I was reading some of the comments on there. People are just going to hate it just to hate it. But
yes,
so I just ignore those comments. The one thing that stuck out was they didn't know what was the theme of the ride, like the story, and there was no villain. Like, where was who's the Dr. Vasilia or something? That's
Dr. Vasilia, yes, but
so they're saying like he wasn't in there. So that was the complaints of what I saw. They couldn't figure out the story, and they were wondering why the bad guy wasn't in it. That was,
All right. And I have an answer to the second one.
Okay.
The first part was a concern of mine as well, and I'm aware of what this story is supposed to be. I'll have to find the woodland creatures to create a band for the opening of her market and the food company, but her crop sharing company. But it's not the strongest story idea for something like that, especially something that had a very definitive and very strong story. So I can't argue that. I kind of feel the same way that, okay, it's as enjoyable as it is. The story is not the strongest. And I do understand it went through several iterations of what a story or what kind of story they could put in there. Supposedly the some of this may make more sense whenever the new animated shorts come to Disney Plus, whenever that's going to happen. Um, but we shouldn't have to rely on that to help us understand it. Uh, the reason why the villain's on it, and it's quite simple. This takes place after the movie. Well, after the movie, the villain doesn't make it through the end of the movie.
Okay.
Spoiler alert: the villain loses. Dr. Facilier does not make it out of the end of Princess and the Frog. Therefore, we do not have a bad guy that should go in an attraction that takes, chronologically takes place after that happens, because then you have people complaining about that. Oh,
Right.
why is he back, or where does he get into? He's not supposed to be there, and this messes with the timeline, and the chaos, and up
Yeah.
in arms and pitchforks. So we don't put the villain in because it doesn't make sense to put the villain in. So people are going to be up in arms and pitchforks because you did put a villain in, and why create a new villain for it? Does it? It does. In all honesty, does it need a villain? Does it need to have an antagonist for it, or can you just tell a story without one? And not every attraction has a bad guy. Toy Story Mania doesn't have a bad guy. Slinky Dog Dash doesn't have a bad guy.
Right.
Guardians does. Okay. Um,
Did Moana? I mean, not Moana. Frozen. That had the bag. That had somebody, right? I know it had the ice creature in there.
nope, no bad guy actually.
No bad guy
Nope.
outside of him. Yeah.
But
if you want to call him, he's not really a bad
he
guy.
became a kind of a buddy.
Yeah.
He was kind of a bodyguard for Princess Elsa.
Right.
So I mean, he was kind of protecting her and telling them everyone to leave her alone, which is
Right.
what she wanted. So I mean, he's not like a bad guy per se, like Hans was, and I forget who the ones in the second movie. But yeah, you don't really have a bad guy in that either. Grand Fiesta Tour, you don't have a bad guy. I can go on and on. Even Smuggler's Run. I mean, well, there's bad guys in it, but you don't have like a main bad guy.
Mhm.
So I think that's a weak argument. That could have it possibly helped to create a stronger narrative? Yeah, it could have. It could have, but
I don't think that's what they were going for. Just watching the whole thing. It looked like they just wanted you to go on there, have a good time. That's basically what I got from it.
Let's go on. We have this great, Southern jazz music that is phenomenal, and yes, the music is great. It's just basically, hey, we're going to a party. Come join us to the party. Oh, can you help us get the band together for the party? That's it.
Yeah.
Simple narrative. You don't need anything complex. Just let's go on and have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think sometimes people forget how to do that.
Yeah.
Dave Gallman, I'm looking at you.
I know how to have fun.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Not when I'm watching some shows, but I know how to have some fun. So, but this opens June 28th, right? Is that what you have?
Yes, it does.
And I forget, it's not a short ride either. It's about a 10-minute ride, I think, but from start to finish. So
yeah, the video that they released was 9 and change, and there was some editing in the video to cut it down. Some kind of more dead spots or hold up spots. Plus you did have the load sequence in there. So yeah, it's about 10 to 12 minute attraction, start to finish without any delays. Sometimes there is backups, especially wherever you got special needs people trying to get into the vehicles that need additional assistance to get them in. So that's going to hold things up, which will cause a backup at the end. Sometimes there's a backup on the drop. If depending on the timing of things, if they've released, too many vehicles have gone out quickly, then at certain drop points you can get a backup. So the same thing happens on It's a Small World or any of the water rides. Even Spaceship Earth, which is a continuous moving omni mover. you sometimes get delayed again because of people needing additional assistance getting in and out of the vehicles. They have to slow the attraction down. So yeah, but approximately 10 to 12 minutes. You
Which is
will.
good because you get your money's worth, especially if you're going to be waiting. And because even with the genie and however you can get on this, if you're in the standard line, you're going to be waiting on this thing for a long time.
But that was even the case with Splash Mountain, that you would typically have a consistent 30 to hour plus wait.
Yeah.
Constantly with it. It's going to be no different with this. That there's going to be extended waiting time because it is a big popular attraction. It's the water ride. It's going to feel great. It's indoors for the most part. Yes, you gotta get wet. Depending where you sit and situations, you could get really wet. So just go in there, with that in mind and understanding that. But it's just have fun with it. I
Yeah.
think that's the main theme of and what we're trying to say is that have fun, bring some commentary, no facility, empty spaces. Well, there was empty spaces on the original Splash Mountain as well. People missing Zippity Doo Dah. Well, of course, you're not going to have songs that don't do it. The weak narrative. Yes, I get that. I uh, can't argue that. But a lot of people do like the animatronics and the visuals. It is bright. It is vibrant.
Yeah.
There is a lot of color, a lot of life into it. The animatronics, like I said, look fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's the newer age stuff,
yes.
right? It's not like the old school,
With limited articulation. No, this the full movement articulation with resistance and just compliance. So there's a lot to them. They're complicated. There's a lot to it, and they look great.
Yeah.
They look great. So I can't wait to check it out myself.
Yeah. So out of the three that we reviewed, if you're planning your trip to Disney, which is the must see that you would be disappointed if you didn't see when you went out there?
I'm going to say Disney Dreams That Soar because it's on a limited time frame.
Yeah.
Like the other ones are going to be there.
They're going to be there.
So, okay, I don't catch it this time. I'll catch it next time around. As much as I want to do them, I'll catch them next time around. Disney Dreams That Soar because there's a chance I will never see it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, if I had to push one, the Tiana's ride would be the one I would push because I would wait on that one a year, or just to let the newness die off a little bit to make it easier to get in there. Because the Moana walkthrough you could probably get through no problems. The drone show, that's a limited time. You gotta see that. So if you went out there and missed that, I could be like, no.
Yeah, like the Enchantment fireworks show. I missed that. I'll never be able to see it again.
Yeah.
That still stings. Even though people had very interesting things to say about it, that still feel that. But yeah, it's that's kind of where I'm at with that too.
Yeah.
Anything else you need to add, sir?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you again, Dave, for joining us. And again, join the conversations on our social media at WD Magiccast. I list them all at the beginning of the show. We like to hear from you and keep the conversation going. Thank you for your time. I know how little time we all have these days. And the fact that we get to spend some of this time together means a lot to me, to us here at WD Magiccast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please have your voices be heard. Leave us a rating review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Let people know about the show. It helps us also understand, where we're at, and if we need to improve something, we can work on it there. But those podcatchers will also help to do their part, promote the show with the more that we have. We have all 5-star reviews and ratings right now. Keep them coming. We could always use more, and it's much appreciated. And we do check them out. Also, just share it out on social media. Let people know that you're listening. Let people know, to have them check it out. Tell people in person even. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you can always check out new episodes when they're posted. Also, while you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber. Truly help the show out. You can do this over on our Spotify podcast page. Links to that and to the TeePublic Shop are all in the show notes. Speaking of the TeePublic Shop, make sure to check that out. Things are on sale there. Get yourself some cool WD Magic Cast stuff, some different designs and things like that, and help the show out that way. Because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, whatever troubles are bothering you, don't give up. Don't ever give up. Be your own hero. Let your light shine for the world to see, because you are special, you are unique, you are someone that this world needs right now. You may not understand why, you may not ever understand the exact impact that you've had, but you are having an impact on someone else's life, and you do make a difference. Unfortunately, we don't always hear that, and unfortunately, we may never always hear the good that we have done. We just sometimes focus on the negative. But there is good out there. There's good in the world, and you are part of it. Now, I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. Attractions will come to life through audio animatronics, our space-age electronic method of making inanimate things move on cue, hour after hour and show after show. And that's from Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.